What makes us a family is we're all doing different things. Where's David? Told him he had to get in here because I need to talk to him. David is working with those adults that have been pushed out of the labor market. Nadja was talking about career counselors are doing the career counseling right there with college students, with the kinds of adults that are transitioning. Steve's saying we've got to look at the people that are trying to get in and through the workforce. We're all focused on different components, and as a result, this is what makes the mosaic. I'm going to be talking from the work I've been doing. It's about youth-focused work, but the concept of what I'm trying to say today, and it's in that larger chapter, is that we need to treat this as a multicultural exercise. We need to find a way to enter into the worldview of the practitioner and learn how they're seeing it. So what I'm going to be saying today, I know Steve's going to say, well, how is that going to be measured? Isn't that the same as this? I'm using the language of the people I've been working with. And I'm showing kind of how I've gotten in and the kinds of things that I'm doing. And so the language may sound different, it may sound a little bit foreign, it may sound, that's like it, but they've been chosen very carefully as a way of just learning what it is that's working and how we're getting ourselves in. So with that, I'm going to get back on thing. Now we can start the time. Okay. Go good. The buses are going to wait, okay? All right. Our research skills and our ability to translate career development theory and research into practice is in high demand from a whole wide range of practitioners and policymakers, and I'm going to give a brief list. Educators in K-12 schools need help in designing career development strategies and programs that improve student engagement, social and emotional learning skills, and academic outcomes. Steve talked about this as looking at capacity building. They need our help in evaluating whether career development increases students' perceived relevance of math, language arts, science. They also need to know whether this is going to impact on college readiness outcomes. Is this going to help them get into and complete a college degree? Schools would love our help to enable them to use qualitative and quantitative data to tell their story. Oh, I've got to keep an eye on where I am. Here we go. By using these results to engage in database decision-making, schools will be able to continuously improve their career development services. Some amazing stories are being told around the country right now. In Arizona, school counselors are reporting that their career development efforts resulted in a tremendous increase in graduation rates. As a result, 5 districts who were in the bottom performance in the tier in their state are now at the top, and they account for it because of the career development efforts that they put in place. Colorado is reporting a link between their career development efforts and reductions in teen pregnancy. One rural school district is reporting that as a result of their career development efforts, their graduation rate among Latinos is now exceeding the white population. Districts and states need our help in verifying these outcomes and understanding whether and to what extent career development is the key mechanism. Community-based organizations need our help to determine whether and if career development activities boost leadership skills, enable low-income and youth of color to compete for admission in select colleges and universities. Colleges are under increasing pressure to decrease loan debt and increase wage earnings of their graduates. In Colorado, the Board of Higher Education wants to know whether these outcomes, as well as college completion rates, will improve if students are entering college with a career plan in place. Okay? And then with a clear understanding of what the degree is going to do to leverage their future goals. And so they're setting up a whole commission to move that all the way in through the college setting. Federal agencies, national technical assistance centers, and community-based organizations need help in evaluating whether gaining access to work-based learning opportunities are going to enable youth and adults to maximize their career exploration efforts. Whether work-based learning opportunities increase their intentions to pursue the careers that they were engaged in. And whether all of this is related to increasing their employability. U.S. Chamber of Commerce is a big one in this area. Presently, 42 states are using career development as a central component of their college and career readiness efforts. States need support in learning what factors are associated with what quality career development implementation looks like. They need help in evaluating the impact of their implementation. We also need research on the types of PD, let me go back, of the types of professional development that's necessary. So we have a huge shout out to the National Career Development Association, who has taken this conversation that's been happening at the national level and in less than 2 months have already moved on a credentialing program that's going to allow us to address the coaching issue. Because now there's going to be a credential with multiple levels, and as trainers and in our training programs, we're going to be able to move them into those, and the states and the businesses that are already on that team that are helping to develop this are hopefully going to embrace that as the core training. So we need to be engaging in this, but NCDA is just phenomenal, the things that they're doing on that. So thank you. We should give them a nice show. Thank you, David. Okay, now back to the story. So in February, nearly 250 business leaders, federal and state officials, national organizations, school educators met at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. What they're discussing is how can we make career development a national effort. Federal agencies need research on whether and how career development efforts improve our economic competitiveness, as well as whether and how career development can reduce the social costs associated with individuals being out of work. The Social Security Administration and the U.S. Department of Education is interested in learning whether access to career development can be an effective strategy for reducing the number of individuals with disabilities who rely on Social Security. The U.S. Department of Labor is interested in finding out whether providing access to quality career development for court-involved youth is going to reduce recidivism and is going to help them get back into school and be competitive when it comes to the marketplace. The U.S. Department of Education is also interested in whether directing the vocational rehabilitation agencies to incorporate career development in their work with disconnected youth is going to also enable them to both get their secondary degree, their post-secondary, as well as increase wage earnings. We have a huge number of federal agencies that have just signed a joint letter saying we need to invest in career development. This just happened last week. The U.S. Department of Education special education programs, the rehabilitation agencies, they created this really cool it's a national TA center on transition. They are looking at all the evidence-based practice around supporting youth. It's all youth and for youth with disabilities. This is a very important one that they want. They're now talking about how can we make career development a primary component to this whole process. And then finally, the U.S. Department of Labor, not finally for the talk, just finally for this example. The U.S. Department of Labor has mandated that career counseling services must be provided to the over 8 million youth and adults that are being served by the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act. Specifically, in receiving WIOA funds, the organization must provide career counseling and ensure that all youth and adults develop a personalized career management plan. In the past, agencies like one-stop job centers were involved in job placement services. They don't know yet what it means to do career counseling. They need our help to explain that and build their capacity and to evaluate the powerful impact it's going to have on their service delivery. They need us for that. Increasingly, states are engaged in college and career readiness efforts by creating cross-sector teams of state officials, school leaders, and community stakeholders. The goal, as I heard earlier, Sue Phillips was saying, let's not talk about breaking silos, we're building bridges, and that's what a cross-sector collaboration is, building bridges across agencies. But the states, these groups are coming together, and there's a lot of agreement. One of them is that when it comes to the process, they're believing that it's the career readiness. Efforts to improve career readiness drives college readiness. They believe that all means all. That means everyone needs to have access to quality career development services. The core component, Steve, you've echoed it. I'm going to use different language because this is what's coming out now. It's a caring and encouraging adult. When I was in Milwaukee with Nadja, I saw a lot of caring teachers that felt so sorry for these students. That's not what we want. We want caring and encouragement. And Steve's certainly been on that and wrapping around it, but this is the new language that I like as well. Finally, and then we need to showcase the impact of that. Finally, schools and state and district leaders understand the coordination of career development services must include the collaboration and guidance in a professional learning community setting of our school counselors, our special education administrators, our career tech ed administrators. They become the leaders. They're not the doers. They're looking for a whole school implementation, all educators involved. What do we need to do to help those educators be effective in providing those services? There we go. All right, so no doubt this can be a bit overwhelming, I would expect. The key to engaging in this work is for us to create collaborative relationships with others who need our content knowledge. For example, WestEd is the organization coordinating the Regional Education Laboratory in the Southwest. Arizona has asked WestEd to study whether and to what extent quality career development implementation in schools is increasing college and career readiness. They want to know whether good career development practices result in good outcomes. WestEd has the skills to gather and analyze the data, but they need help in determining what data to collect. How are they going to glean career readiness out of all that information on a career information system? In other words, they need our theory and our content to do this effectively. By collaborating with economists, we can begin to look at the impact of access to quality career development on post-secondary completion rates and wage earnings. Economists need our career expertise, but we need their methodological expertise. We need their credibility because they're the ones who know how to work with these huge, statewide, multi-year, longitudinal data sets, but they need our help on the content. So my entry into this arena was facilitated by explaining to policy analysts and policymakers from the National Collaborative on Workforce and Disability with Youth the ways in which social cognitive career theory and the evidence-based ingredients from Brown and Ryan Crane, how that we could use that to study whether or not individualized learning plans were showing promise, what they looked like, and everything else. That little bit turned into an 18-month research project became longitudinal once the Office of Disability Employment Policy heard what we were doing. They liked it, they wanted more. Then it became a multi-year, a multi-study effort, producing a wide range of these. These are all free, by the way. And I even have the little QR codes. You know, you can come up to a piece of paper, I've got them right here, you just bring your phone up and boom. I know, high tech, me, scary. Anyway, states are using these reports to design their career development implementation efforts. Districts and schools are using these to design comprehensive career development programs for all youth and are engaging all educators to deliver the services within an advisory setting and in conjunction with using online career information systems. In theory, the strategy enables all youth to have access to caring and engaging adults who believe in them and encourage them to explore their interests, their values, their skills, as well as to look at the myriad of opportunities they have in the world of work. The culmination of this work is an effort sponsored by ODEP, this is the Office of Disability Employment Policy, to create model career development policy language that ensures all youth receive access to these national career development efforts. The Council of State Governments and the National Council of State Legislatures are working collaboratively with states to adopt this language. And becoming involved in this level of collaboration with federal and state agencies and schools isn't easy. To address this, my colleagues at the Rennie Center for Education Research, Mass Inc., as well as the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we established the Massachusetts Institute for College and Career Readiness. This institute pairs a senior research fellow, a tenured faculty member from somewhere in the country, I'll show you that in a second, look at that all over the country, with a given school. With the support and guidance of the senior research fellow and the MICR team, because we're doing a lot of PD and support as well, the schools are now engaging in database decision-making and the design and implementation of career development services. The goal is to help the senior researchers in learning how to collaborate with the districts, learn how to communicate, what's the experience about. And what the schools are learning is how they have a safe person and someone they can trust to really engage in this. So we have in our room today 3 of our senior research fellows. Saba Ali, Patrick Rottinghouse, Tim Poynton, and Saba actually is engaging one of our doctoral students, Danny, who's been a big part of working with the school district as well. And we have Rich Lepan as our external evaluator. I'm gonna let them tell you whether or not it's working and all that sort of stuff. So what's the point, Walter? Jeffrey Lebowski quote. The point is that we are living in a time where there's an unprecedented interest in career development and a tremendous need for vocational psychology to engage in using our theory and research skills to support these efforts. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.